Let's start off this video about Joe Tryon-Shoyinka by talking about some numbers. And these numbers are not very good, quite frankly. Coming out of college, again, as I'm getting more into this analytics stuff and looking at stats that do translate well to the NFL level, such as a PFF grade, which is it's a stat that does translate pretty well to the next level. Guys who do well at the edge rusher position in terms of PFF grade tend to be good at the NFL level. And Joe Tryon was not great. Now, again, this isn't like abysmal or anything. And one thing that is definitely worth noting is that he did not have any grade in 2020 because he didn't play in 2020 due to the COVID pandemic, meaning that he sat out a year. So when they drafted him, they were drafting him knowing he's had a whole year. So it's a little bit interesting to talk about. And again, his grades in the NFL level weren't particularly great either, but I think that there's enough well here. And I think this is why you can't simply just look at numbers. You do have to watch tape as well. I think, that's how I've always believed in this stuff. I think it's fair to say that I'm just going to call him Joe Tryon because the extension of his last name is a little bit difficult for me to pronounce. So we'll just call him Tryon throughout the course of this video to simplify things. I think that for Tryon, there's enough he does well that I'm willing to sort of give him time and while I do accept he is kind of a developmental guy, I do think he can develop, and Todd Bowles could develop him, and he fits the Todd Bowles scheme really well, so let's talk about why he does. So first, let's start off with a play like this. So what's going to happen here is it's going to be a one-on-one matchup as he is kind of blitzing here. Again, this is the way he was used, he was used very uniquely last year because they had Jason Pierre-Paul, they had Shaq Barrett, and so they kind of would just sort of figure out ways to use Tryon. And quite frankly, I hope that they continue to do that to some degree. I don't want him to just be pigeonholed as a pure edge rusher. And trust me, Todd Bowles is not one to just have a basic defense. He's going to do anything and everything and get very unique with the way that he's going to come up with game plans. While he is a head coach, you might see it get simplified a little bit just because he has more duties to pull off now. But I still think that you're definitely going to see someone like Joe Tryon get used in unique ways. This is part of how he would do it, where he's going to be essentially a blitzing linebacker here going up against the left guard. Look at how right when this play begins, you're going to see that right off the bat, Tryon appears to be going towards the guard's left side of his body. But watch how well he's going to sort of pull off this move in small space to get over to the right side of the screen. Look at him, just that quick step, and then his hands were very good right there. He was able to get a pressure. So we have seen real flashes in Tryon's game. I think it's probably fair to say that he hasn't been as consistent, but I still think that when I watch his tape, I constantly like his tape. So he is one of those things where, while he might not get as many wins, his numbers might not stack up, his tape does look very good. Like we also have something like this, where what's going to happen on this play is it's going to be a twist. And this is something he is just straight up good at. This is something that he's really good at. And quite frankly, this is something that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do a lot of, especially with Vita Vea next to him. Basically, the way this play works is you're going to have a defensive lineman, which is going to be Vita Vea on this play, run to the left guard's left side of his body. You see, he's basically just running straight up, and this is going to get the guard over to block him, as he expects to. But then when Tryon kind of swings around, he's going to try to run in between the guard and the center. There could be a lane for him to go to. Watch, as you see. So first, Tryon kind of fakes as though he's, just being a typical edge rusher, running against a tackle. But now at this point, Vea does such a great job of clearing out. That's what he does. He's a fantastic disruptor on the interior. Watch what you're going to see Tryon do here. As you see, he does have the athleticism to get over there and get to the sack quickly. And that's just something that you notice about him is he's an incredible athlete. And that's part of why I like him. It's like, listen, it's okay to, especially when they drafted him, 32nd overall, that's kind of a fine time to select a developmental guy who has this incredible athleticism, and it's going to bring some stuff to your team right away. So really like that about him. There's also stuff like this, where this is something we really saw Tryon do a decent amount of, which is essentially just play the spy role. He's going to be lined up as an interior defensive lineman. Again, he did it all last year, and watch what happens. It's not going to be that impressive at the start. Look, as you see, he's blocked pretty well. He is going to, be in a position right here where, okay, there's not a lot he can do here. And I don't even know if this was an intentional spy situation, but they would have him just straight up play spy at times. They would put him out there, when Taysom Hill was in the game, as a quarterback. They would try to have him be on the interior, and they would, against the Eagles, they just legitimately had him as a quarterback spy straight up because of how great of an athlete he is. And watching a situation like this, where Taysom Hill has a step on Tryon and is going to try to get to the outside, I guarantee you no other interior defensive lineman can make this play. But look at how Tryon is able to have this burst and really doesn't give up much of anything for Taysom Hill. So that's a definitive advantage that he's going to bring. Like, that's something that he can just absolutely do. Now, I don't know how big of a deal that is in the NFC South. Again, Taysom Hill's really the only scrambling quarterback they kind of have there. You know, Atlanta has, guys who can move, I suppose it's fair to say. And even Sam Darnold can move, but you don't need spies for any of those guys. Listen, you don't just play your division, you play plenty of other teams. So the fact that that can still be something he can do is good. And finally, we have something like this, where what's going to happen here is that, so it's going to be, he's going to start off again as an interior defensive lineman, but rarely when he is there is he actually just going to go up against the guard. He's going to pull all the way over, try to get in between the left guard and left tackle here. That's what they want to do, potentially give him a straight shot to the quarterback, and just watch his speed. Again, look at how he does very quickly get in position to where he was very close to making a pressure there. That was just a well done play by Todd Bowles, and Tryon-Shoyinka did a great job at being able to do that. So when you have a great defensive coordinator who can scheme things up like that, it's good to have someone who can take advantage of that, and he fits the scheme well. So that's definitely something that I like about Tryon. And finally, something like this, what's going to happen here is you're going to see it's going to be a one-on-one matchup. He is going up one-on-one against a left tackle here, and watch what happens. Look at how right when this play begins, I think that's a good job. I feel like for the most part, his hands can be very good. You could look like for maybe a little bit more explosiveness, but he does get his left hand kind of on that left hand on the right shoulder pad of the tackle who is going up against, and he's going to watch what he's going to do. He gets his right arm over the tackle, gets over, and is able to make a sack on Mac Jones there. So good play by him. He definitely did get his wins, even in traditional ways like this one was. So there's definitely stuff to like about him. He played like a rookie at times for sure, but still is a very unique player, and I think is getting used correctly in Tampa Bay. So yeah, those are most of my thoughts on Tryon. Again, very fascinating. I think that we will have to kind of just give it a minute and see what he can do, where his career can take him. He is more of a developmental guy, and we haven't seen him with a full season yet. So he was kind of a plug and play. Let's see what value he can add his rookie year. Now he'll, I'm assuming that he's going to replace Jason Pierre-Paul. We will see, what he can do there, and can he be just a true edge rusher that can, play a solid amount of snaps. I think that's a very fascinating situation, and I think he could do a decent job at it, but, it remains to be seen. There is a bit of a risk factor there. So that's kind of how I view Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.